I'll say this. You spent a large time and a large part of your life immersed in Black culture. How did you earn the respect and acceptance of people around you, because you were invited to the cookout very early, and for some way, it's another flex to still be a part of the cookout, you know, for decades at a time?
Yeah, I see it sometimes where somebody might, you know, get invited to the cookout, and then once they get there, they're like, all right, I'm here. Now let me leave and go to something else. Especially when it comes to like white rappers, a lot of people will transition into other things. But I don't know. I deal with this a lot too when it comes to up and coming white rappers who want to get accepted by the Black culture. They won't necessarily always ask me. Sometimes they will, but it'll be people like on their team or their record labels. You know, hey, how did you get accepted? Because we want to get him. We can't get them accepted. And I mean, for me, it was not something I chased, but I think it boils down to respect. I mean, this is something we learned from Jay Prince. He would always preach this to us: is you show people respect, you show people love. I never came with entitlement or anything or thinking, you know, certain things. You know, it's all about showing people love, showing people respect. I mean, I never lied about being white or said I'm not white or said, you know, people would think I'm mixed, but I never told nobody. And if they asked, nah, I'm not mixed. You know, are you a Frenchman? No, not that I know of. I mean, you know, my mom did a DNA test recently. I found out she 6% this or that. So I guess that means I'm 3% of this. But you know what I'm saying? But, you know, some of those things, you know, it's just, they didn't exist in our era.
Do you care to share the team for the acceptance?
I mean, I definitely do. I give people the information all the time of...
No, I'm talking about the individual who wanted your insight.
I mean, it's not like, you know, this rapper or that in particular. Okay. I mean, anybody I would name, you wouldn't even know who they are. Right. I wouldn't even know who they are,
the honestly. First person, as you were talking, that came to mind was Jack Harlow, right? And I think Jack is an extremely talented rapper. His last album, named Monica, kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But at the same time, it doesn't eliminate his skill. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Looking how he looks, rapping how he raps, being as talented and seeing the visuals of his music videos to his rollouts are exceptional.
Yeah.
But some who even put a microscope to Monica, if you say it in a different dialect or diaphragm, it sounds like a racial slur as my nigga.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for that, that's the person that I thought about, and I'm saying, he
ain't never asked me nothing about, you know, how I get accepted or any of that. But I mean, I don't know. I always grew up, like I said, my grandpa was in the military. Everybody that he was in the military with, he was like the only white person. They were all Black or Hispanic, you know. So his best friends one was Black and one was Puerto Rican. Those were his two best, and his two only friends that I ever met my whole life, my grandpa. Yeah. And I grew up without my biological dad, so my grandpa was the father figure for a long time. And he would tell me stories about him and my grandma going to jazz clubs or going places, and he would tell me that they'd be the only white people there, but they would never feel prejudice or never feel racism from any Black people. It would only be from other white people for hanging with Black people. And so he instilled that in me for a long time. My mom, she used to march, you know, her era growing up. She used to do the sit-ins, all of that. So, you know, it was very something I was aware of. And a lot of people, a lot of white people who are in this kind of space, they only see it from their perspective or see it from, you know, where they're at. But you gotta keep in mind other people's journeys or other people's, you know, perspective of you. So for me, it was never a racial thing for me. I didn't like, I don't know if I've ever in my life mentioned in a rap something about being white, or even, you know, white rappers sometimes will be like, oh, how'd you come up? It's so hard to make it as a white rapper. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's hard to make it as a rapper, period.
It's hot. Summer is still here, but you can tell it's moving fast. You start looking at the calendar, thinking, I need one more trip, one more cookout, one more day by the water before it's all over. That's why I love Macy's. Whether you're grabbing a fresh fit, a new carry-on for your weekend trip, some shades, sunglasses, anything you may need to host one last cookout, you can get it all in one place. And if you're already starting to think about what's next, and you got a lot of kids, some kids, one kid, like me, you're ready for back to school. Whatever your next move is, Macy's makes the transition easy. From finishing summer strong, then rolling into the next season looking even better.
You know, and if you look at how hard it is for other people of other races, they have challenges way far greater than being a white rapper. So that some of that to me has always been kind of silly. You know what I'm saying? To be like, oh man, it's so hard for me to come up as a white rapper, this and that. You know what I'm saying? That's silly because there's so much things that's, you know, more, you know, crucial than that or more important than that, you know, and I don't know. I don't know what has, you know, I think definitely coming up on the Swisher House helped a little bit because, you know, there was a racial ambiguity. You don't know what somebody's race is. You might assume everybody on the Swisher House is black, you know, because that's everybody.
That's who they're pandering to that audience.
Yeah. But you don't really know. So people didn't know I was white till, you know, it was almost like they already like loved. Matter of fact, I'll tell you a story. One time I was in Roy Jones Jr.'s club, Star 69 in Pensacola, Florida. Mm-hmm. This was like one of the first clubs outside of Texas, really outside of our whole region, that would book us. And he used to always book us to perform. And one time I'm in there, me and Chameleon there, because we were a group coming up, and we performing. I remember me and my boy Lou Hawk, we was at the bar. And somebody standing next to the bar, you know, somebody next to me was talking to somebody else, and he like, man, I wonder what time Paul Wall coming on, man. And I heard him say this, and I just turned to him and say, hey, what's up, man? I'm about to go on like 15 minutes. I'm just getting a drink. I'm about to go on. And he about to steal off on me. He like, man, what you talking about? Who is you? And he's looking at me crazy. And I could tell he was like, didn't catch what I was saying. And I was just like, it's all good. You know, I went on stage. But after I came off stage, he came up to me. His whole demeanor was different. He was laughing. He was like, man, I didn't know what you was talking about, bro. I had no idea you was white. And he was like, man, the crazy thing is I hate white people. I really hate white people. So my favorite rapper finding out that you're white is like, I'm torn between two worlds. I don't know, should I hate you or should I still listen to you? And, you know, it just is one of those things where I realized that rapping in the Swisher House maybe, I don't want to say open the doors racially for me, but they didn't close them for me. Whereas if you just see somebody,
it gave you a chance.
It gave me a chance. It gave me an opportunity for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I see this dynamic too. And one of my kind of last questions as far as identity, what's the conversations that you have with your children, you know, being biracial and being faced with really identity issues as well too? I'm reminded about a line that Drake says, I used to get teased because I'm not white enough, but now in this industry, I get teased because I'm not black enough. So like you have a person like J. Cole, you have a person like Drake, all these individuals, Eminem, who's, you know, obviously white, but when you're in this commodity of hip hop, it's like, you catching it from many different ways of, you don't know who you belong to. You know what I'm saying? So how do you have that conversation with your children?
Well, first of all, my son, he's 20 now, but I've told him his whole life that you're not a Paul Wall 2.0. Be your own person, your own self. You got your own likes and dislikes. You know, whoever you want to be that. And definitely my wife's experience is different than mine, you know, just because she's black and I'm not. So I'm sure she's had a different experience. But, you know, I try to encourage that sometimes, you know, you can have a great day and then one bad thing will happen and then in your mind it's like, oh, I had a bad day. But really, you know, it was a good day. It's just something bad happened. So I've always been a glasses half full kind of person. Yeah. So I try to encourage my son, my daughter, she's 18. So I've always encouraged both of them to look for the positive. Don't focus on the negative. Yes, it's gonna be there. You know, we've definitely had several conversations about, you know, you get pulled over by the police, this and that. It's gonna be different when Paul Wall ain't in the car with you. You know what I'm saying? And Paul Wall being in the car still might be a rough situation for you, but for the most part, it's definitely gonna be different if you get pulled over and I'm not in the car. You know, you need to be prepared for some of these things. You know, but I mean, it's one of those things too as well with them. I think one of the things for them that's kind of maybe eased it is that growing up in Houston, like I said, it's so multicultural. So it's, you know, black, white, Hispanic. A lot of people, they thought both of my kids were Mexican for the longest because most of the kids at their school were Mexican. Yeah. So they didn't look any different than the other kids, you know, because they're very, you know, light complected. But at the same time, you know, they'll have that where it's like, sometimes with the white people, maybe they're not white enough, or the black people, maybe they're not black enough, or whatever. You know, I always just try to keep into consideration that their experience, you know what I'm saying, just what their experience is growing up. And just because I was tough for certain things, that might not be how it is for them. I might have had thick skin. I used to get bullied, and I don't mean like social media bullying, which is serious too. I mean physically bullied. So, you know, some of those things kind of kept me.
By who?
By older white people. You know what I'm saying? They were maybe like, you know, 2 to 5 years older than me, but you know they let me know. You know what I'm saying? They let me know all the time. You know that they didn't like what I was doing, but I didn't let it stop me. You know, but I'm saying that to say that, you know, getting physically bullied. You know, it just put something in me to say, all right, I'm gonna get past this. I know this isn't gonna be my experience forever, and I'm gonna use this to show love instead of showing the hate. Because when the love is always stronger than the hate, you know, and that's what I try to teach my kids is that you gonna have the hate, and if you looking for it, you gonna find it.
Yeah, for sure.
If you looking for the racism, you definitely gonna find it. But if you looking for the love, you'll find that too. If you're looking for acceptance or any of these other things, you're gonna find it. So just look for what you want. What do you want out of life? Look for that and you're gonna find it.
Man, I had to unlearn this idea that if I kept putting stuff on my hair, that it would automatically grow. I was doing what I thought I knew to do, but I was not paying attention to what my hair actually needed. And when you're trying to keep that length, breakage will have you feeling like your hair is playing games with you. And that right there is the main reason why I love Bask and Lather. I've been using their products and I've been seeing more growth and length. The stimulating scalp and hair balm helps nourish and hydrate textured hair, while the hydrating hair mist keeps it soft and moisturized. It's black owned, family operated, and they actually understand textured hair. So if you're trying to get your hair right, stop guessing and give it what it needs. Explore viral bestsellers and products of healthier hair of all types from Bask and Lather. Go to baskandlatherco.com and use code FunkyFriday for 20% off. That's 20% off at baskandlatherco.com. Code FunkyFriday.